So, Rick, what kind of threat are we looking at here?
Well, first of all, it is a very serious threat, and it is not the first time, whether defense or intelligence officials are going to admit it. This happens fairly regularly. The Chinese are very aggressive about data collection. And so the threat of having them take pictures, listen to what's happening, collect information is a very serious threat. When the United States had a drone that went off course and the Chinese recovered it, they spent about 6 months taking it apart before they sent it back to us. They collected information on us. They found very serious methods that we were using to collect information. We must shoot that balloon down and all other balloons that come into our airspace to be able to evaluate it, take it apart, and understand what the Chinese are using to listen to us. Remember, we had to shut down a Chinese consulate. I advocated for getting more aggressive about shutting down more Chinese consulates because of their strategy of how they collect, how aggressive they are with our politicians, with our young politicians. Eric Swalwell, for instance, was somebody who was caught into this mess. We need to get much more aggressive with their tactics.
Wes, from a tactical standpoint, if you wanted to, like Senator Cotton said, why don't we figure out how to get this balloon down so that we can find out what's going on with it? Do we have? I'm sure we have that capability. I would think.
I would think so too. I don't know for sure. There ought to be a way to gradually deflate it so that it loses altitude and we can also capture the balloon. I'm not sure about that. I do know that, just to give you a comparison, low Earth orbit satellites are somewhere between 70 and 100 miles up. The spaceship station is 240 miles up. Our airspace is 50 miles. This balloon is at 5 miles above the United States.
Flying at the same level as commercial airlines. Holly's calling from Montana. Holly, welcome to the broadcast. You're on the air.
I guess my biggest concern living in Montana is that if it is shot down, could it be a bioweapons kind of thing where they're anticipating we would shoot it down and release something?
No, listen, that's a real. Rick, I was thinking the same thing. You were the director of national intelligence, so again, you're not going to. I don't want you to tell us anything you're not supposed to. But would we have the capacity to know if it was containing a bio device or biological matters that could be contaminating the populace if it were to be taken down?
Well, I want to be very careful in how I say this and not specifically respond to any question about a bioweapon. But let me say this. We, the United States of America, absolutely have the ability to go and capture that balloon. And we are absolutely able to figure out what's inside and bring it down peacefully, collect it, keep it so that it's not a threat to anyone on the ground. It's ridiculous to think that the United States of America can't get that balloon down peacefully.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think that this is just shocking to hear these briefings from top military that we're just going to let this go.
They said they don't want to engage. It appears, we're monitoring this. Have they said what they're going to do other than monitor it?
No, not yet.
Nothing. So, Rick, right now the approach is, watchful waiting, I guess, is what it is.
Because it's not a physical threat at this time. And I think, Rick, that's the distinction: physical threat versus national security threat. And so they're using very specific language. Like, of course, we know it doesn't have missiles on it. It's not that kind of drone or balloon, but it can still pose a great national security threat without being a violent military threat.
Look, I don't think we can talk about this without recognizing the fact that the Biden administration is incredibly weak. They don't put America first. They put consensus with the world first. I've already heard progressives and the left who have captured the Biden administration say, we are currently negotiating a climate change agreement with China. So let's be careful on how we confront them. Let's be careful in pissing them off. And this is the mentality. When you put consensus first, when you put agreement first, then the Chinese get to move the ball, move the balloon, so to speak, into our territory, and we're left to react in a way that we don't ramp up the conversation. And this means that they are ruling our diplomacy and they're getting the better end of the deal.
I want to take Tim's call from California. Tim, go ahead. You're on the air.
What right does any country have to spy on us and try to get information?
Let's not be naive, okay? We do surveillance on other countries. They do surveillance on us. The audaciousness of this one, Rick, is that they're doing it at 50,000 feet.
Well, look, of course, countries collect information on each other. That it's ridiculous to think that countries don't do that. But when you take a balloon into sovereign airspace, then you have to deal with the consequences that country you're spying on gets to bring down the balloon and figure out what you're using. This is part of the game. They made a mistake by entering our airspace. We should be reacting. This is pretty easy. We should be getting it down and figuring out what's inside.
I appreciate it. Rick Grenell, our Senior Advisor on National Security and Intelligence. And this is one of those moments that we're thrilled that Rick's part of the team. Because of your support of the ACLJ, that happens.